Hey everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 445. What is it? Oh, it's March 16th. Caesar, you were stabbed to death yesterday. Who cares about the Ides of March? It's too late for that shit. My name is Russell Frost. I am the host of this fun expedition into advanced tech mobility and sustainable energy. Let me introduce my friends on this fantastic panel, and we will get the show going. Wow. Hi, Georgia. My friend, Georgia McKenzie, who got here late, and you wouldn't know that if I hadn't said that.
I got here late.
Jeez.
I
Pull
got
the
here
mystery.
late. Yeah, the mystery of who sends out the melon out thing?
I was trying. Okay, I admit I was trying to keep her off the show by not sending her the participation link.
Oh, I've been there, Georgia.
I
I've
was
been
just about to just go back and sit back, go back and do some work. But okay, fine,
See?
Russell.
Or you could spend an unpaid hour with us.
Let's see. I could level my warden hunter.
I'm just waiting for Georgia's screen to go black. Like, okay, made the call. You're out of here. Next to her on my there we go. Next to her on my screen is my friend in Boulder, Colorado. He is the owner and founder of Boulder Hybrids, where you cannot buy a hybrid or an electric car because they're so damn rare. But you can get your existing hybrid or electric car fixed. Mr. Paul Guzik.
Hey, glad to be back. I unfortunately couldn't make it last week, but let's get on with the show.
Exactly. Well, speaking of getting on the show, he is Mr. Supercharger, our friend of the Mid-Atlantic region, Mr. Kacey Green.
So my car has decided to eat lead acid batteries like candy, so I decided to put a stop to that, and I ended up putting a lithium battery in it. So far, so good.
Yeah, you'll find that cars eat those too.
Oh, no.
That sounds very expensive.
They're more expensive.
They are more expensive. Actually, it was $9 more than what the manufacturer was trying to charge me for the filters and the battery together with labor.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a deal.
There you go. And last and certainly not least, our friend, our famous celebrity, it's Sacha Baron Cohen. No, it's not. It's Patrick Connor.
It's Holly G.
Hello. So you mentioned Ides of March, but hey, it's the day before St. Patrick's Day. So bringing back a long tradition, I'm going to pop open a cold one here. And St. Patrick's Day is a lot more fun than getting stabbed in the back, Russell.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
So here's to all my green friends out there. Hope you guys are having a good time. And here's to Michael Mannering, because I just love that intro music. That rocks. It is so cool.
I agree.
Cheers.
Michael's a good guy, too. Well, thank you for that. Let's get started because we do have ground to cover and news stories this week. We're going to kick it off with Patrick, who has something strangely enough going on in his own neighborhood.
That is right. So we had a measure here in Portland that was measured 26201. Let me just read a little bit of this article to you. It was drafted by a coalition of minority, environmental, social justice, and faith-based organizations. It imposed a 1% surcharge on Portland retail sales from large businesses to fund an energy-related project to benefit low-income communities, including communities of color. So far, so good. This was approved by the voters, and it created a Portland Clean Energy community benefit fund, and they expected to raise about $30 million a year. Well, they raised $90 million a year, and with what they got the year before, the balance is now $170 million. There's a lot of really cool stuff that can be done with this money. Let's just read a little more. The Portland Clean Energy Fund will benefit those who have been left out of previous programs and are going to feel the brunt of climate change most acutely, said Tom DeFalco, a coordinator at Verde. Speaking of green, a nonprofit organization that supports low-income and minority communities. So all that so far so good. However, there's some bad news here too. The program has still not finalized their method to track, measure, and report their performance. And tracking and measuring and reporting are all required by the same measure that got this bill passed. So they can't do anything with the money until they have those systems in place. So come on, get on with it. what else? There's another problem here. So the program's goals were tied to the Portland City Climate Action Plan. And that was a detailed plan. It had 20 objectives, 274 action items in it. But that plan expired in 2020 and it has not been replaced. So they don't know how to track and measure, and they don't know what their goals are. So there's a lot of good that can be done with this money. I would like to see them figure it out, get something in place. They could install solar panels on Portland area schools and start with low-income areas. These are often underfunded schools. Instead of paying a big electricity bill every month, they could put that money towards equipment and other things. If most of their electricity bills covered by solar panels, they could get electric school buses instead of having stinky diesel buses go through communities. Public transportation, we've talked about how important that is. And if it's diesel fueled, it's just polluting and through all these places. So let's get some electric public transportation. Anyway, I just thought this was interesting. It's got great intentions. The execution leaves something to be desired, but it's got some huge potential, and I hope to see it work out soon. Since it touches on so many things we cover here, I thought it would be interesting to bring up. What do y'all think?
Yeah, good news.
Oh, yeah.
Or
Great.
Patrick, they could do electric car sharing, like have for people who can't own their own car, have community car shares or car shares within a low-income housing community. You know, that
Right.
if you're a member of that community, you can book the car. That would be great. Give people mobility.
Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, there are rideshare programs where they have electric vehicles in them. If you gave vouchers out for that or whatever, there's lots of opportunities here.
It's going to be, I think the one thing that is missing is going to be the metrics. So once they figure out how to track successes and failures, it's going to be interesting to see if other municipalities pick up that program and try it over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's, not everything is going to work out. So that's why you track and report. And then next year you stop the things that didn't work and do more of the things that did work and try another experiment or two. Yeah, this has so much potential. And I'll admit that I've been into this EV activism stuff for a long time now. And at first I didn't see the economic, environmental, social justice, how they all tied together. And it's just becoming so much more obvious to me now that this way too much of the early environmental stuff focused on save the polar bears. And no, let's make an equitable world for everybody. And I'm just glad to see how these are tied together. And it's taken me a while to get to how they relate and why they're important to be together.
Yeah, it's easy to say we're environmentally friendly while we're putting all of the worst toxins, all of the worst pollutants on the people with the least amount of power to fight it. Hey, it's great. Speaking from my own county, it's great that everyone in Del Mar has beautiful clean air and ocean views. But what about the other folks inland that don't have it so good? And more transportation means more opportunity, whether it's getting kids to school or getting adults to work or getting kids back and forth to daycare. Safe, non-polluting transportation is a huge investment in a community that helps. It's not sexy, I guess. It's not cool, but it's certainly well needed. My opinion. No one's going to argue with me on that. Thank God.
Wow, we always argue about something, Russell. Come on.
I have the right panel on this show. Well, no, that is not. Yeah. Oh, hell with those kids. No, that's not.
FDK.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go to Georgia for. Does anyone know what did I miss, Kacey? No. Okay.
It's a show for F them kids.
Oh. Oh God.
I hope that's not your vanity license plate.
It's not. It's not.
Oh my God.
Okay.
If you see a Model X in the Northern Virginia, no. Let's go to Georgia for a story about lower car production, which always makes me smile. This is me
Well, it's going
smiling.
to make a whole lot of dealers smile because if you can sell a car, you're going to be charging up the wah and the zoo because, hey, I don't know if you knew this, but there seems to be a little fracas between Russia and the Ukraine right now. And
What?
who knew? And hey, that's also going to cause lower car production by millions of units over the next 2 years. Millions of units. So, why, you would say, why would this affect it? Well, part of it, you know, it's war during a pandemic, because Lord knows this was a great time to have a war. But there's a little a little doohickey, a little gadget that's largely made in the Ukraine. The wire harness. Hey,
Kind of important.
important. Little tchotchke. Nothing big. I mean, it just holds stuff together. It's kind of critical, and it's made in the Ukraine. And well, Ukraine is kind of busy right now, fighting off Russia and trying to maintain its independence. So the automotive research firm S&P Global Mobility has downgraded its 2022 and 2023 global light vehicle production forecast by 2.6 million units for both years. So the total that they expect to be produced are 81.6 million for 2022 and 88.5 million for 2023. Critical vehicle components are not being made because, I don't know, Russia decided, well, let's not even say Russia. Putin decided that he's old and he wants to die with wins. Not going so well. And unfortunately, on top of tremendous destruction and loss of life, he's also making sure that everybody else feels it too, just as his nation is being sanctioned up the wazoo for his actions. So, wire harnesses, which help connect the electrical power and communication in parts that come from the Ukraine. And we've already got a pretty messed up supply chain thanks to a little thing called a pandemic, which isn't over, guys. It isn't over. And a shortage of semiconductor chips. What the hell?
They just had a surge in China that shut down all of their factories. So,
China.
So the stuff that connects to the wiring harness doesn't work either.
So hey, just to point out, definitely not over. And I please get vaccinated. Get vaccinated and boosted. We're saying boosted, but it's actually incorrect. Our schedule of vaccinations means that to be fully vaccinated, you should be at 3, and you should be expecting to take another vaccination. The language we're using to discuss this is creating a lot of confusion. And remember, vaccinations are prophylactics. They don't mean that you will not be infected. They mean that it will reduce the chances of a serious infection or an incident. It's a seatbelt. It is not you sitting at home, staying out of the car completely. So, but I digress. So that's a mess. Thanks, Putin. The makers that are going to be pretty well exposed on this one are Volkswagen and BMW, which is going to be interesting because if I remember correctly, Volkswagen and BMW were planning to be launching some pretty new EV cars this year and next year. So I would expect that if you were looking forward to a nice electric BMW 2023 model, I want to chill out on that one. You know, relax, repair what you got, think about something else. Because even if the war ended tomorrow, it's probably still going to affect everything.
Well, the automotive supply chains were already messed up before the war. So,
You got Ford
Yeah.
shipping cars without chips now after they were complaining about other people doing it. I mean,
Oh,
it's the realist, it's the world we're in right now.
Well, BMW did cut their forecast, their profit margin forecast Wednesday, and they are trying to move to North American and Chinese plants. But as, as Casey pointed out, China just went full lockdown. Hey, North America, jobs. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to figure it out until the next round of surges somewhere else. They hope to be back to full production. They say that they're going to be, but I'm going to put a hope in there because let's be frank. We have no idea what's going to happen next week. And this is 20,000 people, this wire harness industry. That's 20,000 people who are not working. So
and
thanks a lot.
They thought that like with the Ford you can sell a car that doesn't have a rear air conditioner controller, but you can't sell a car that can't sense or get the lights out on the road or can't brake or process or get power to the power windows. That car's done.
I mean, let's be the frank truth is that if you need a wire harness for your car, how about you drive very safely and carefully, because you may not get the parts you need to
right, like Paul's customer the other day with the Rabbit ate the wiring harness. That's a car that already exists that needs a wiring harness.
Well, Mr. N. Bruce Nelson in the chat had a question, which I think is a really great one. I wonder what these supply chain issues will mean to a company such as Aptera that is just trying to come online with a product that some of us believe is much needed. Well, we are accurate when we say it's much needed. So it's not just a belief. You don't have to take it on faith. And I predict if they didn't secure that stuff prior to now, remember when everybody was mocking Biden for saying that Russia was planning to attack sometime around the tail end of the Olympics? There's a lot of like, hey, if they took it seriously and they purchased as much as they could to gear up for production, they should at least be able to start rolling out production. If they didn't, they are in a scramble. And if there is anything that they were planning to release, I would expect you're going to hear some delayed product releases coming.
I mean, there's going to be issues because startup companies are always on a tight budget. And in addition to supplies being cut off, the parts you need have jumped up in price.
Yeah.
So unless they've got major bank behind them, they're going to be suffering big time.
And then when you go to put them together in fast serial production,
like
you realize,
right?
we got to change something about this.
Their costs are going up 20%. They got slammed by it.
Yeah. I mean, and also there's also the logistics of storage, which for a startup company, it's easier to subcontract that out and just do it when you need it. That's they do that with staffing, and they also do that with parts that they only bring them in and store them when they are immediately ready to go, because the logistics cost of storage is something that they have to calculate with those tight budgets with the investment money. So Bruce, that's a great question, and we're gonna have to sit tight and see what they come out and say. But I would put strong money on, hey guys, we can't really release anything at this point in time, and
I doubt they have $300 million in the bank to deal with these unplanned events.
And then you bring up a good point about logistics.
$1 million, and you want to just kind of throw a little my way.
Some of these items can't just sit in a hot warehouse. They need to either be climate controlled, or they're consumable items like the batteries. They expire as they sit on the shelf, whether you use them or not.
Yeah.
Well, and let's be clear too: small startups versus large companies with huge pockets and enormous contracts. Who do you think these manufacturers working on one leg are going to supply first?
Yeah.
I've got a guaranteed contract with Ford. Let's fill their order first.
Yeah. I mean,
they're not going to give a damn about Aptera in that situation. So.
Or Faraday Future. I mean, there's tons.
Or Rivian. I mean, honestly, let's think about the fact that Rivian just had a PR disaster due to extra costs.
And they
Now
cut their delivery promise. Yeah.
There you go.
So before,
All right.
I do want to say one thing. We're a transportation focused show here, and obviously, if you're in Ukraine living through this, the fact that some rich a-hole can't get their car is the first world problem extreme, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so
Last thing on your mind.
yeah, exactly. So just to put some perspective on this, if you're trying to get a new car and you can't, I'm not crying for you.
Yeah, I've got some software from Ukrainian developers, and like on the latest update, they're like, "Hey, sorry this update took so long. We're dealing with a little bit of local issues right now."
It's like,
you still got to take care of the kids.
Oh wow!
Please. Yeah. I mean, trust me. My main drive with this is I don't give a damn about the car. I don't give a damn about the wire harness. I give a damn about the Ukrainian people and making this conflict stop. So.
Yes, which is
expensive.
what I don't know if you guys are familiar with how I got into this whole alternative fuel thing in the first place, and it was because war for oil. I went to Desert Storm. We were there for oil. It wasn't about freedom or democracy or any of the other PR crap that was surrounded. It was because of oil, and I've said this on the show before. We used to have wars for salt. It was a strategic commodity, and that changed when we got refrigeration. So I would like the same thing to happen for oil. Countries do not get invaded for their wind turbines. And so we need to make oil just a commodity, not a strategic commodity. And then we will not have wars for it. And we will have a much more peaceful, just world.
Yeah. All that other stuff they said that they did the war for, if they didn't have oil, it wouldn't have happened.
Europe was more of an electric-based energy technology, and they could just say to the Russians, you know what, guys? Screw you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you could really sanction them. Instead, they lowered their price of oil until somebody bought it because everybody needs it because the world is addicted to it. And that just perpetuates this situation. And it funds fascist despots. It's the source of all of our real problems. Behind the scenes, it's fossil fuels causing all kinds of conflicts. Which
Resource
is why
conflicts are huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, let's everything that we use, including these computers that we have right now, we're all appearing to you through, they use rare minerals. And if you think about conflict diamonds, guess what? There's a lot of conflict over those rare minerals too that give us EVs and give us computers. So anything we can do to make the world more sustainable and reduce all of that is a great thing.
Absolutely.
Yep. Well said, all of you.
Yep.
And on that note, let's go to Kacey Green for a story. I'm sorry?
Oh, I said, hey, he said my name.
Oh. Just
that's him. Oh,
Kacey.
Yeah.
We're just going to go to Kacey. I won't even.
So I keep saying we need to electrify all the things, electrify all the things, electrify all the things. But then, Georgia keeps saying that, we need to do mass transit. So what if we...
That's a thing you can electrify.
Right. It totally is. And so we talked about how, you can electrify the city bus, electrify the school bus. But another large consumer of fuel that we can do as a bus is, I'm going to share a picture here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
No sharing pictures.
Is it a kitty bus?
It's not a kitty bus or a Nemo bus.
So
nice.
So the coach buses are another area that the people have been saying, oh, you can't do it, blah blah blah, because they tend to be on the freeways. So what happened here is Van Hool and one of their partners, ABC, they set up a cross-country demo. They went 260 miles per charge on average, and they used the regular car chargers to charge this bus up.
Wow.
Yeah,
I love Cool or Van Cool?
Van Cool.
Sorry.
Let's see if I got a picture of the...
I apologize for that to everyone listening.
The dad jokes.
Yes.
All right, so there we go. So they were just using the regular public charge. Darn it. Come on, YouTube. Play nice. There we go. Pause. They're just using the regular public chargers, and they got this done in under a week, and they went 2,500 miles coast to coast.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice
and,
bus. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And so you can use that for not just coaches, not just bands, but also for the people who want to do RVs and van life. Like
Or
that platform.
The regional routes, like New York to Boston.
Greyhound.
Portland, Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is a double-decker bus, so you can actually make it smaller and more efficient if you wanted to. But
So they're not
Yeah, 'cause
exactly setting
double-deckers-
a cannonball
For those
record
of-
with that.
Well, no, the bottom deck's full of batteries, right?
batteries, seats, and luggage.
And there's 3 lawn chairs in the top. That's it. Three people.
You just strap them on.
But there's lots of. I mean, this is cool. The battery thing is cool, but with buses, with things with fixed routes, we can also electrify those routes. They can do some charging while they're driving. Those of you that have visited San Francisco and have seen the Muni buses there know how that works. This is decades old technology, maybe more than a century old technology of running so this isn't anything new, and it doesn't require a ton of battery. You have batteries as a backup. You have batteries as an augment. Maybe if you're going to go off that line, that gives you the freedom to do that. But there's lots of ways we can make things so much better.
And we have the technology today. This is a 600 kilowatt hour battery pack. The thing charges in 3 hours. So literally the same amount of time that their people would be out exploring the sites or loading and unloading the bus, depending on what if it's a coach or if it's a transport. It will be ready for the next cycle. It's incredible, and it's using regular car chargers. Imagine if we use the juiced up chargers we plan to use for the Class 8 semi trucks. You can go even faster.
600 kilowatt hours, they could probably use 4 or 5 of those standard chargers if you do it
At once.
properly. Yeah, at once, and still not be over stressing the batteries at all with that much.
Right.
In there.
So on this particular trek, they said they were able to hold 150 kilowatts almost the entire time. And like Patrick's saying, one, that's a factor of how large the battery packs are, and two, with them using the particular charging networks that are available today, most of them are capped out at 150. So I'm wondering if that average might have actually been higher if they were able to find more 350s or 250s around.
Right. Yes. Yeah. That's one cool thing about. So in a passenger car, you're likely not going to see the peak for very long. But in a bus like that, it's going to hit the peak and just flat and go until it's 80% charged, and then you'll start tapering down. But it's going to be able to hold the max rate for a long time with a big old pack like that.
Yeah. And it's not pumping out diesel. It's not breaking down as much. And, it's more luxury on the inside because it's no reciprocating motion. It's just a rotation.
And
Very
it has
cool.
a clean bathroom, and Lord knows.
Right.
That
part.
0 emissions, except for that part.
Right. The exhaust fan.
I'm smelling a show title in there somewhere.
So,
Stop. Burrito lunch.
Did I just say I'm smelling a show title? Come on, thank you.
burrito exhaust
Emissions.
Burrito bus.
Yeah.
burrito emissions.
We'll brainstorm that one. In the meantime, let's go to our final story for the night, to Georgia, about something old being new again.
Recycle, baby.
And it's not my face. Let's see.
Something borrowed, something blue.
Oh, Georgia.
All right, here's something kind of super cool. Okay, stop.
Uh-oh. The cats will not be denied.
He will not be denied. So here's something kind of cool, and I don't know. I'm a little torn. The Bay Area Rapid Transit has closed bidding on its old train cars. You had the opportunity to buy your own train car.
What, from Bart?
No way.
From BART. You could have bought your own BART train.
I would do that in a heartbeat.
Now, some of them were local fire departments, and you'd be surprised how often and how useful. Get your butt over there. How useful they can be, because fire departments are probably going to use them to train firefighters on electrical fires. Things they do.
Idea.
Not to mention some people who will be converting them to Airbnb rental units. then
Oh, God,
Bart
no.
kind of hoped for something that would turn them into homes. Now,
Right? Yeah, homeless shelter.
yeah,
That would be an
homeless
interesting
shelters.
idea. Tiny homes.
Now, they cost, let's see, but they have to pay, if you won, you'd have to pay for the transport, installation, and the permits. So anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000. A lot of other transit agencies have used their legacy cars to be sunken into the ocean as artificial reefs. But since BART is basically a tin can, it's made out of aluminum, can't be done. And they can't sell the cars to other transit agencies because the vehicles are non-standard in track width. Isn't that
That's
wild?
too bad.
We have actual organic, holistic, specialty crafted BART cars, so we can't actually trade them with other agencies. They're completely artisanal and handcrafted by virgin hippies. So,
That's
so
funny.
when
I wonder if that explains why I was going to a comedy show in San Francisco, and I was in Oakland, and then we got on BART, and then when we got to we had to change from one light rail system to another light rail system, and I'm like, why did I even have to do this? And I guess that explains because BART is
in
not
the
the
city
same
they
as
have
the rest.
Mooney, which is
Yeah.
different than BART.
Yes, exactly.
Mooney
What
is
he's
different
saying.
than BART.
Yeah.
What he's saying, yeah.
It was as a passenger, it was quite annoying.
Well, I've been one of the things that we don't experiment enough with is finding a low cost home solution here in California. I mean, housing costs are insane, and I've discovered that some landlords are actually, thanks to the COVID eviction moratorium, which Governor Newsom has extended, they aren't just asking for a first month's rent and security deposit or first and last month's rent and security deposit. They are asking for a security deposit and 6 months' rent
Whoa.
in some cases. Somebody posted a request that amounted to $12,000 up front, 6 months' rent and security deposit and last month's rent for a year-long lease, which is illegal, but most people don't know that. And it's just incredibly, as the cool kids say, terabad, because we need to have housing. There's too much NIMBYism by people who actually own houses. The places with very low vacancy rates do not actually put any effort into installing low-income housing, because I can tell you that as much as I like Davis, their idea of low-income housing in new development is starting price $430,000 for a house. And I don't know where you live in, but if you earn $50,000 and your low-income housing plan is that, well, now you can buy almost a $500,000 house, and you earn $50,000. You're about to put people into bankruptcy in about maybe 1 to 2 years. So
just in taxes alone.
Just in taxes alone,
Not
not
everybody can
property
afford
taxes.
California.
It's true, but the idea of small, just I know that the nouveau riche poor, like the tiny home trends and whatnot, but that would be actually far more effective use for both density and everything else. And some of these cars, I think, could make really nice shelters that could be rented out. They could be put on municipal lands. They could be refurbished and used to create communities. That would be very helpful in releasing the burden of homelessness, and even, I don't know, letting people who are the working poor and the working class be able to buy a small piece of property, something that they own, without things like I don't know, space rents that are almost as much as the actual mortgage, because manufactured homes might be cheaper, but in your better communities, you will be paying $230,000 for a 3-2, and then you also have to pay a space rent every month of $900. So you're actually paying almost as much as a regular house that's between 350, 400, not saving a lot of money at all. It would be great to see these cars put to that kind of use. And I completely applaud the fact that Bart was really hoping for more of that. But hey, some of these train cars are going to go off to be bars. They're going to be B&Bs. They're going to actually go to the Transit Museum. And some people are making them into bike and repair shops. So why not? It's a great thing. And it's great to make part of that life cycle of a product is that we want to make it sustainable from end to end. So we start off, we use our materials, we get as much use of it in one area, and then we're able to convert it to something else. And I think that's great.
That's the whole point, is that this stuff doesn't get just trashed, thrown away, stuck into a landfill, and that we spend a little energy repurposing it. Because, yeah, there's other things these objects can do. Thank you, Georgia.
You're welcome.
We lost Paul. Paul's internet blew up. That sounds traumatic, I know, but it just shut down, and so he says
Attacked by
bye.
Russia.
Yeah, I think this is a Russia hack. Exactly. Putin wanted Paul shut up, so no idea why. So anyway,
it's okay, Paul. We'll push it. We'll push his. Don't forget to go visit the Boulder Hybrids.
Absolutely. BoulderH.com or BoulderHC.com. I'm sorry?
Because when they're not making new cars, it makes sense to keep the one you got running.
Absolutely.
Keep the bunnies away from your wiring harness. Because, well, we just talked about that.
That's good. That's good. Very nice. I like reduce, reuse, ReBart.
ReBart.
Let's do some shout-outs and go. Putin attacked Paul. Yeah, Putin attacked Paul and the cats attacked Georgia. That's what's going on there.
So is the guy with the bad haircut going to avenge Paul?
All kinds of attacks today. I like that. Let's do some shout-outs and go home. Let's start with Mr. Kacey Green.
Hello. So, like I said, I put that lithium battery in the car. Hopefully, it doesn't live up to the promise that Paul has seen with the other lithium batteries, and will last as long as my warranty, at least. But you can see a video on that soon. I haven't started to cut it yet, and like I said, I got interrupted in the way. There was a shooting across the way, and my neighbor came by to chat. And
why did you shoot someone, Kacey?
I didn't shoot anybody.
Okay,
I was coming back from my lunch break, and I saw a bunch of police cars, and I went back to work, and then all of a sudden there's a knock on my door, and hey, did you hear anything? I was like, what?
No.
And they're like, yeah, there was a shooting down the street. I was like, oh.
But did your Tesla record it?
So I said, well, my car caught you guys coming in. If you need some video of that. The cop's like, no, we got our own video of that.
Yeah.
And so you'll find that video when I finish it. Hopefully enough of it can be salvaged at youtube.com/Kacey Green. That's KACEYGREEN. At the very least, I'll at least give you a summary on how it's been going. So far, so good.
Cool.
There you go. Do check out Kacey's channel, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so that you know when Kacey puts something cool and new up.
And then every Sunday, we hit a little bit of chat.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Connor, I'm going to you next.
Alrighty. Hello, everybody. I am with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. And if you're interested in what's going on here in Oregon, we talked about one thing on the show today, and we have a EV incentive, and how that's being managed is coming into question, and what's the future of that program going to be is a hot topic of debate. There's also some legislation that's going on, and I got the link to it today, and I tried to read it over my lunch hour, Georgia, but man, is it dense. It's going to take. I'm going to have to take some extra hours to figure this out. So lots of cool stuff happening here in Oregon. I also blog occasionally at whatever that says, carswithcords.net. And just talking with Kacey there about did his Tesla record it? So that's my next article coming up is we've got a bunch of cameras out there. Eyes are active all the time. And of course, Tesla's reason to have those is for full self-driving. But what other things might you be able to do with those in the future is a very interesting idea. If something goes down in an area, could the police get a warrant for all the video from all the vehicles that were in that region? And not just Tesla, but anyway. So that's the next thing I'm going to explore in a blog post that you can check out at carswithcords.net. Thanks.
Yeah, you got like Corvettes and all these other things that have connected cameras, let alone the aftermarket dash cams. And you have a good point there. Like when we bought our cars, they didn't have. They had cameras, but they weren't. When they were parked, they were asleep. And now when they're parked, they're like normal processing. Oh, that looks suspicious. Let me record it.
Right. Yes, doing the pew laser when someone gets too close.
Yeah. And who owns that video, and who has the right to demand it, to compel it, and to not to say it's mine and I'm not going to share it. And
is there going to be problems if you happen to just don't have a storage device in the car? Like, oh, I unplugged the USB. What you going to do? Oh, well, what are you trying to hide, son?
There you go.
Yeah, and if it's in your own garage, then that's your private property. Very interesting. Very different than if it's on the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's one of those good conversations that we need to have because we don't have it, and then shit just gets cattywampus afterwards because we didn't bother to figure it out first.
Yep.
Georgia, I'm coming to you. Please save me. Save me.
Well, you don't need saving. So you've been here this long. Why don't you go on ahead? Hit like, hit subscribe. Remember, your likes push us up. That's how we manipulate the algorithm, folks. Likes are kind of critical. And while you're at it, you finish enjoying us, don't forget to head on over to Kacey's channel, hit like and subscribe over there. And although he's not here, Mark Coughlin has everything for you on the Tesla life. Hit like, hit subscribe for his most recent post. You want all this information that we have for you. We give you good discussion, and we're all really hot. Wow. See, you want to watch this stuff. So go on ahead, hit like and subscribe for all of us, and plus head on over to Patrick's place, carswithcords.net, where he's going to write up once he digests all that stuff, all that new legislation and stuff that he's wading his way through. He's probably going to come up with a pretty cool blog post about it. And you can ask him things like, why do you have a Stargate behind your head in camera? Yeah. See? Or a lightsaber. It's a lightsaber with a...
It's not really coming through on the camera here, but that's yellow at the top and blue. Obvious reasons.
Right now it's like, so...
I put me in yellow and blue on the shirt, even though the camera doesn't show it.
I wore red today. Oh, shit.
Jeez, Russell, how insensitive of you.
Just block me out. Which really, I think most of our viewers and our listeners do that anyway. So
cancel Russell.
Not true. We look forward to you.
It's a survival skill. Georgia, thank you so much. As always, I want to thank Michael Mannering for our amazing theme music. Visit him at manthing.com. Buy a song, buy an album, buy something. Thank you so much for that. I want to thank Georgia McKenzie, Patrick Connor, Paul Guzik, and Kacey Green for being a great panel, getting through some cool news. Cheers, Patrick. Is that the end of the Guinness?
That's the end of the Guinness.
Oh, I wish I had one. Now, at the beginning of the show, I wasn't envious. Now I want one. Don't hold up another can and go.
It's a Cavatica Stout. So this is from Astoria, not a Guinness.
Oh.
From Astoria, Queens?
Astoria, Oregon. I have to give a shout out to my
I was just gonna
Oregon beer here.
Yeah.
We're the home of the Goonies. Come on. The Truffle Shuffle.
I've never watched the Goonies.
I don't know what he means. I
go watch the Goonies. Everybody, that's your action item from this. That's your homework. Watch the Goonies.
I also want to say next week's special show, we have a special guest. Tiffany Grant is going to come on. She is a finance specialist. We're going to talk about car financing. We're going to talk about money. And because money makes the world go round. Wasn't that a song? Yeah, it was. So
I should skip that one. She won't like my input, I'm sure.
No, you know what? I think you should come on and go. I mean, who knows? Who knows? Do you know what her position is, Patrick?
I don't know.
She might.
Paying interest is for chumps. That's my stance.
Former car salesman here.
Yeah. There you go. But we're looking forward to that. So a special episode next week. Do tune in, especially those of you live who want to ask questions. We'll be happy to take questions from the chat room. As always, I want to thank everybody also in the chat room. Looks like Bruce and David and Zach were in there. I thought I saw JT24 earlier. Did I?
You did?
Scrolling. I did.
Yes,
There's
you did.
JT.
We've got
Excellent.
David, too.
So thanks for all of that.
Zachary and David as well.
For the rest of you for whom we do the show, tune in next week and find out what drives us.
What drives us?
Thank you, Mr. Green. Have a great week, everybody.
Stay positive, test negative.